Well, there needs to be a special counsel. We need to dig into it now. Look, we know he's being investigated. Looks like tax issues and everything else. But I think it's interesting. The same people who told us that the protests were peaceful, the same people who told us that the dossier was real, the same people who told us that the anonymous whistleblower had to be believed, even though we could never see who he was, never cross-examine him, were the same people who told us that there was nothing there to the Hunter Biden story. And as we've now know, they were wrong on all of them. So let's get to the bottom of this. This is important. These folks who accused the president for 4 years of working with the foreign government, turns out it wasn't him at all. They went after his family. Don Jr. had 30-hour deposition he had to sit through. That wasn't happening at all. But in fact, at that same time, looks like the Biden family was doing all right with their engagements with foreign countries.
Could you explain to viewers what the special counsel would do? I mean, in some cases, a special counsel can take years to try to get to some sort of conclusion. What is the goal of the special counsel from your perspective?
Well, the special counsel would have, I think, just that special designation that it wouldn't necessarily be beholden to the next working for the next attorney general. They get a special designation. If in fact it's President Biden, would he get rid of that special counsel? I think that's going to be a question, frankly, that they'll have, and we'll see what plays out with Mr. Durham on the other issue. So I just think that designation gives it added weight. We'll see. Maybe it's not needed, but I think it makes sense to do it. We called for it. Ken Buck called for it earlier this week. When you have something this serious, I mean, again, remember, this came up during the impeachment and the Democrats dismissed it then. Then it came up again with Mr. Bobulinski and all the facts he had, the emails that showed the big guy, in fact, referred to Vice President Biden, and the Democrats and the mainstream press dismissed it then as well. So now we know there's something real there, even though we knew it back then. Now we know there's something real. Let's just make sure we get to the truth for the American people.
And maybe just one last question on a different topic, and that is one of your colleagues, Congressman Eric Swalwell, who has now been revealed to have had this relationship and dealings with a Chinese spy. That was years ago, but then he was put on the Intel Committee. What do you think should happen with him?
Well, I think the big takeaway for me in this is Eric Swalwell gets a defensive briefing. Dianne Feinstein gets a defensive briefing. It seems like Democrats get defensive briefings. Republicans get set up. Remember what they did to President-elect Trump. January 6, 2017, Jim Comey goes up to Trump Tower, talks to President-elect Trump about the dossier so he can do what then? Go leak it, and CNN and BuzzFeed can print the entire dossier and it becomes a bigger story. So it seems like Democrats always get the defensive briefing when something like this is going on. Republicans get set up. I think that's a question. I think, frankly, there's some questions that Speaker Pelosi will have to answer. What did she know when she made the decision to put Swalwell on? What kind of information did she receive? What kind of briefings had she received on this issue when she made the decision to put him on the Intel Committee? I think those are some questions that the Speaker should have to answer.